One of the hardest conversations in real estate is telling the seller something they don't want to hear. If you've been in this business long enough, you've sat down across the table from a seller who, wants $600,000 for their home and their home's worth 550, right? You have a choice to make. Despite your attempts at educating them, they are really dug in, and you're going to lose that listing because there's another agent that's going to tell them what they want to hear, right? And I've been guilty of it too. Any agent that's been in the business long enough, maybe your ego gets in the way, maybe you convince yourself you can sell it at that price. Maybe the seller talks you into it. They start selling you on the home and you start to believe the hype. But you have a choice to make. You can list it high, or you can stick to the truth, educate the seller, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? Easier said than done. Now, one of the best ways to give yourself the confidence to be unattached is to be able to have the lead generation systems in place to have consistent business, so you can have that honest conversation. That makes it a lot easier. If you want me to send you a link to my lead generation training video, drop a comment below in the comment section. Just comment lead generation and I'll send you the link to that video. But for the purposes of this one, I want to get into a few reasons why it's good for not only your business and yourself, but also the seller to be truthful and honest on price and stick to it. And talk about the potential risk rewards long term that I know I didn't always think about, that I've learned over the years. And again, I'm guilty of this as anyone else. We all have listings we've taken that maybe we shouldn't have, and we had to play it over again. We realized maybe we got a little caught up. So having some of these thoughts in place, I think, can help us all, be a little bit prepared for the next time we get in this situation. And there will always be a next time when it comes to a seller wanting more for their home than it actually is. So the first thing I wrote down in terms of why it's good for everyone to tell the truth in this situation and price it right is the listing will actually sell. Like, it will sell when you price it right, and it will not. If you price it 10% high, it is not going to sell. It's going to sit there. Here in Connecticut, we have been in the greatest market, some of the greatest markets in history over the past couple of years. And there are still homes that expire and don't sell because of price, because the seller's just too off. People will not come see it and will not offer if it's not competitive on price. So you really want to set yourself up there. And then from a seller's perspective, that first week is where you maximize profits, right? When you create that competition and buyers don't want to lose it. Once it starts sitting, you lose that leverage and edge as a seller. So it will actually sell. Everyone will win if you price the property right. Second thing that I wrote down, it improves your credibility in the marketplace. But there's a few different pieces to this. It's not just, hey, you sell a home when you price it right, and then other sellers want to work with you. Let's face it, this is a competitive business. Very often when I sit down at a listing appointment, there's 2-3 other agents that are also interviewing, right? And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people that are watching this video. So if you take listings that are overpriced, if you're promising sellers high prices, listing the property, and it's just sitting there, what do you think your competition's going to show the next seller in the next interview? You're going to say, look at this agent here. They got this home. It's been on the market 60 days. It's not selling. Is this the type of agent you want to hire, right? Other people will use it against you. If it's not the seller themselves, because everything's online, they can see that your homes are not selling, right? If it's not the seller themselves doing their own research, which most people do this day and age, it'll be another agent in a competing situation that might share that information. So it isn't just good for referral business, it's good for future interviewing, future competitive situations, for you to actually tell the truth, list property that sells, and as hard as it is, let the unrealistic sellers go to the agent that's promised them more. And then when it expires, you can give them a call back, and you can be the one that told told them the truth. I've had countless situations over the years where this same scenario has happened. You know, I'm not calling back to brag. I'm not calling back to boast or say I was right. I'm just calling back to say, hey, are you open to sitting down and continuing the conversation, right? And now because you were the person that was, they're going to remember, right? You were the person that presented everything and told the truth in a kind, respectful way. We're not talking about having an ego and just letting people go in a short fashion. We're talking about, you know, really trying to educate them, and if we don't see eye to eye, wish them the best, right? And then when it expires, you know, you can call them back. So the last thing I wrote down is you're going to have less headaches. When it's a stressful job enough, things go wrong, right? But when you work with someone who you're on the same page with up front, it makes the process smoother. Some of my most difficult situations with sellers were sellers that wanted a higher price. And by the way, sometimes in the past, I've even said, okay, you know, I want you to know the market's showing X. If you're going to work with me on this, we'll go for the higher price, but I don't want you to blame me if it doesn't go according to plan in the first month or so, right? I even tried that approach. And, oh, yeah. Any situation, including those that I just mentioned, if the listing's overpriced, some of my most difficult situations were when clients become very unreasonable when their home's not selling because of the price they wanted that was too high. Or a price I told them because I let my ego get in the way, or I let the seller convince me that we could get a little more for their home. Now I have this client for 6 months that I've put in an unrealistic situation, and the home doesn't sell. Now this becomes a very stressful situation on your business, on your life. It's preventing you from finding more sellers who actually want to sell and are reasonable because you've taken this one. So if anything, let some of my past mistakes help you. This is not something to look over lightly and skip over. This, if you're a listing agent, you're going on listing appointments, this is a video to really dig into. Take some notes. You know, read them before you go on the listing appointment when you have one of those unrealistic sellers. And if you're all doing your pre-qualification videos, you're going to know before you go to the appointment if they're realistic on price or not. And if they're not, put together some good materials to educate them, right? Don't make them wrong, educate them. And if it doesn't work out, have the courage to move on and say next. It'll be one of the best things you can do for your confidence and for your business. So hope this video helps. If you want a little bit more on that lead gen video that I mentioned before, so that you can create some duplicatable business, some more listing opportunities and not just one, drop a comment below, lead gen. I'll send you that video, because without the lead gen, without more business coming in, it's very hard to stand up to a seller if that's your only appointment for the month, right? Hope this helps.